Jensen, the conversation's changing, right, from an AI wave driven by startups like OpenAI to sovereign AI. And you yourself are in Toronto, Canada right now. My understanding is you've just met with a Canadian government official. What did you agree on?
I met with Minister Champagne, and I'm here for several reasons. One, to celebrate the research center that we have here in Toronto. You probably know that the University of Toronto is as close to the epicenter of the invention of modern AI as it gets. Professor Hin was here. The advances in deep learning. Elias Susskever was a student, and so I met many of them in the early days of the invention of modern AI. And so we started our research lab here. There's a large AI community here, and what is needed is for Canada to have a public infrastructure that supports the ongoing advancement of AI research and to support the local startups and the local industries. One of the things about generative AI is a form of computer science, a form of computing, where a large computing infrastructure is essential to the creation of the model, the large language model, as well as the generation of the tokens and the information that is really valuable that comes out of generative AI. And so most of our conversation is around the AI infrastructure necessary in Canada so that Canada could have its own sovereign AI capabilities.
You've spoken, Jensen, about the nation state level GPU specialized cloud or sovereign AI specialized cloud. And then we look at what the hyperscalers are doing. You know, you've reflected on that when we talk about H100, we're really talking about HGX server design, right, or DGX server design, and that ships to the hyperscalers. So what does this business line, where you deal directly with governments and nation states, add to what those hyperscalers are already doing in the private sector?
Well, as much as possible, we should utilize clouds, and it's accessible. The technology is modern. Our partnership with Microsoft and AWS and GCP and other cloud service providers make the technology accessible so that everybody could have benefits from it. There are also regional capabilities in each one of the countries that would like to be able to build on this important infrastructure. Artificial intelligence is about the generation of tokens in the final analysis. These are numbers that come out of computers that is interpreted as intelligence in each one of the various domains that we serve. And so the production of these tokens, the generation of these tokens require AI supercomputers. And so we have the technology, the know-how, the full stack from the compute networking to the software stack to enable each one of the countries to be able to build their own AI infrastructure. And so I think you're going to see countries around the world be able to continue to use public clouds, but also build regional data centers as well as publicly supported infrastructure so that each one of the countries could be able to cultivate and advance its own industries.
Jensen, do the governments that you speak to understand those dynamics? With respect, politics tends to move a lot slower than the rate of technological progress we've seen in just the last 12 months, for example.
Well, in fact, in the last 12 months, you have seen India, Japan, France, Canada now, Southeast Asia, Singapore, speak up about the importance of investing in sovereign AI capabilities. It is become abundantly clear to each one of the countries that their natural resource, which is the data of their country, should be refined and produce intelligence of their country for their country. And that capability of refining the data of their country and turn it into their artificial intelligence is now possible in a quite a democratized way. Almost every country should be able to do it for themselves. And what's needed, of course, is the technology and the know-how of standing up AI infrastructure, and that's where we could be quite helpful to various regions. And so I think that the recognition of the importance of sovereign AI capabilities is now quite global.
Jensen, does that recognition and your ability to help extend to China? On my own show, Bloomberg Technology, the academic community and the startup community reflect that there is a desire at the nation state level to have sovereign AI competency, but there's also a lot of work going on with companies, Baidu as an example. Are you confident that you will be able to work with China on the topic of sovereign AI going forward, given the political backdrop that we live in?
Well, we're an American company, and we have to comply with American policies. And whatever the rules and regulations are and the laws are, we'll, number one, comply with that. Work closely with the regulators and understand their intentions and their desires, work within those boundaries, and be able to create products for the various countries that are involved, fully in compliant with the regulations that are in front of us. And beyond that, once we comply, our goal and the United States would love to see us be a successful country. And one of the pillars of national security is successful industries, and it creates jobs and allows our country to stay ahead and technologically. And so, it is of great interest of our nation that our American companies are successful around the world. And so once we comply with the regulations, we'll do our best to serve the local markets. And we have we have excellent communications with the administration, and we have in working in full compliance, be able to serve the local markets, and we have the full support.
Jensen, I go back to that HGX or DGX example, right? We understand how it works with private companies and cloud. Going forward, how should we think about sovereign AI as a business line for you? Is there a way that we can understand how Nvidia's work, even if it's building supercomputers like in the UK, for example, what proportion of your overall business that will represent if countries are to lead the way?
The vast majority of the computing market has been United States and to a much smaller degree China. For the very first time, every industry would be, every single country will become a computer industry, and every industry will become a technology industry. And so artificial intelligence, or the automation, the production at scale of intelligence, matters to every single country and matters to every single industry. And so for the very first time, there's a whole new computer market that is going to be in every single country and every single market. And it starts with of course the native computer industry itself. But you're seeing a great adoption in healthcare, great adoption in logistics, in transportation, of course, in manufacturing, in the large industries, the heavy industries. For the very first time, because of generative AI, computer technology is going to impact literally every single industry in every single country. And so the markets are going to be quite large and global.
Jensen, our final question comes from our audience, actually. I said that you were coming on, and I think you'll appreciate this one. And it relates to sovereign AI, but it's how AI impacts all of us. And this user asks, Ray Kurzweil's prediction that human-level intelligence in AI will be achieved by the end of this decade. Does Jensen believe that trajectory and timeline is on track? Well,
AGI from an engineer's perspective requires specification, and if AGI specification was a collection of tests that humans are able to perform, and until now, no computers can, and that suite of tests, whether it's math or English or whether it's it could be law tests, it could be medical, whatever the tests are. If that suite of tests could be specified, could be put in front of generative AI over the course of the next within this decade, my guess would be that at the rate of the current progress, it is very likely that that suite of tests would be achieved by a computer. However, there are much larger definitions of human general intelligence, and until we're able to specify what that means or even understand what that means, it's going to be very hard to know whether we've achieved it or not. But the definition that I provided, which is the ability for a computer to achieve excellent results on a suite of tests that previously were given to human, that suite of tests, I think, within the decade would be achieved by computers. And generative AI would be a tool that could be used in a large field of science and many fields of industries. And
Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang, I know I've got to let you go.